Hi everyone, John here from LookSmart Home Inspections here in New Jersey, and today I'm in a house. My customer couldn't attend the home inspection, so I'm here basically alone, and this gives me an opportunity maybe to show you guys how a sewer line inspection is performed. So I'm down here in the basement. This is the front of the home, and here we have our sewer line cap right here. So this is going to be the access to the sewer line for me to put an inspection camera in. So the sewer line is the main waste pipe that goes from the house to the street or tap connection. And it's important to look at that sewer line during a home inspection because as a home inspector, I can't see that below ground pipe. That's completely underground pipe, and I have no way to know what the condition is. So if there's problems with that sewer line, they can be very expensive to fix or remedy. So we need to know what the condition is before you purchase the home, so you're aware of what's going on, so you're not surprised by a big repair bill later on once you take possession or you close on the house. That's the last thing that we want. So sewer line inspections are becoming more prominent. People are asking for them more and more, and I highly recommend it. It's not very expensive, and it certainly adds another layer of due diligence to the home inspection process. Now, we can't do sewer line inspections in every home. Some homes, they just don't have any access. In other homes, there's certain variables that we just can't do. But in this house here, we have looks like a 3-inch or 3.5-inch cap. That's a PVC cap that we can easily access. Hopefully, I'm going to do my best to show you guys. And then we'll be able to put our inspection camera down it and look and see if this sewer line has any problems that we need to tell the client about. I'm also going to make a video to send to the clients so they have the video backup of any problems or defects that we do find. And during the video, during the inspection, I'm going to try to narrate what I see. I have no idea what this looks like, so we're going to be sort of looking at this together. And I just want to see if this would work out, see if I can make a video to show you guys how a sewer line inspection is performed with a video camera and, what we see, when we do a sewer line inspection. So I'm going to go out to the truck. We're going to get the sewer line inspection camera. We're going to open our sewer line cap up here, and hopefully we'll be able to show you guys what this sewer line looks like. So we'll be back in just a second. So I'm back in the basement. We're going to try to open this. I did free it up a little bit so it will come out. Some of these caps, though, are very difficult to work free. And we do our best to do it. Sometimes they have to be broken out, and there are some cases where we just can't open them at all. So we're going to grab our channel locks and we're going to open this a little bit here. Now the thing with this cap, with this piping, is that we have a neutral slope across this piping, if you can see it here. So ideally, we want this piping and this cap to be high here and slope downward into the main sewer line here. So when we open this, we're likely to get a little bit of water dripping back. So we're going to have a little bit of poop water coming towards us here, and we're going to grab our paper towels and we're going to put it just under this cap and kind of catch any of that dripping water. So I'm going to do that now. We're going to go to get this cap opened up. We're going to put the sewer line camera in it, and then we'll take a look and see how that sewer line looks. But when you do these inspections, you always have to be ready for the unexpected. Have paper towels, rags ready. And of course, you never really want to do this when we're in a completely finished basement with nice finishes. It's always helpful to have an unfinished portion of the basement so we can access this. So if we do have a little bit of drippage or leakage, we're not going to cause any damage to the house. So very important thing to consider when you're doing an inspection on a sewer line. All right, so I'm going to enter this sewer line right now, and we see that we have PVC first couple of feet, and then we're entering a cast iron pipe. So we're going to slowly just bring this camera, we're going to push this camera along about maybe 5 inches each push, and we're going to see what we see. So the interior of this sewer line, we have a lot of scaling, and this happens often in cast iron pipes because they rust from the inside out. And sometimes the scaling can be pretty significant where it actually closes up and makes the diameter of the pipe more narrow, impeding flow from the pipe. But we're just going to go slowly here. We're going to take a look. And so first thing I'm going to recommend is this customer get a sewer line hydrojetting performed. And that would sort of break up a lot of this scaling that we see inside this pipe here. And it's basically a hydrojetting is a power washing with high-speed water, high-pressure water for the interior of the sewer line. And it would break up some of this scaling. So I'm going to continue to push down here. And here we have an issue right here. So we have a transition right here from the cast iron pipe to another section of PVC. But if we look on top of that transition, we see a gap or opening. And that is a breach in the pipe. So this is something at roughly 9 feet we're going to call out to the customer. And this is something that should be corrected. We even see a little critter running around in there in the breach in the piping. So this is something we don't want to see. A pipe should be continuous and homogeneous its whole length, as well as being completely smooth. And the scaling that we saw before, obviously that is not a smooth interior of piping. So this is something that should be corrected. The good, if there is a positive here, the positive here is that this is above. It's on the top of the pipe and not on the bottom of the pipe. So this is unlikely really to impede water flow through the piping. However, it is a damaged pipe that should be replaced for sure. So this is something that's significant, and this is why we do these inspections, is to understand what the interior of the sewer line looks like. So this is something that is significant and should be corrected. So I'm going to continue down here if we can. Now we're in the section of PVC, and you can see some built up debris on the sides of that pipe. Now we're going to go down. We're making a turn downward, steep downward into the pipe here, and we see some the brown that you see at the bottom of the pipe is generally caused by grease buildup. So they're putting a lot of grease down down the sewer line here, and we have some debris on the sides. You can't really be too squeamish about stuff like this when we do these sewer line inspections for sure. So this section of PVC looks good. We continue to travel down this pipe we're about 17 feet now down the pipe, looking pretty good. Now normally I would be flowing some water from a faucet upstairs, but I'm not doing that here because of the backflow, because of the back pitch that we see on the clean out. So if I were to run water, I would be taking a little bit of a shower right now, and I'm not really interested in doing that. So we're going to continue to move down here. PVC has very little transitions as we go. The PVC is a very long length of pipe, and that's why it's very easy to work with. That's why we see modern sewer lines having PVC. So this section of the piping here, as we're moving down, looks normal and fine. So nothing really here that's problematic. I don't see anything. And we want to just take a second to look at these PVC transitions. And we're going to be looking for pipes and transitions that are greater than 1/4 inch. So any pipe transition that's greater than 1/4 inch can cause obstruction and debris being held up in the pipe. But that transition just looked fine. That looked totally normal. No issue there. So let's continue down in this PVC pipe. So the majority of this sewer line, even though the house was built in the 50s, has been replaced, with our only real significant problem so far being the damaged pipe that we saw previously. But here we're traversing fine. The camera's moving well. No real issues here. It's going down smoothly. And we want to, push our camera about every about 4 to 5 inches. We don't want to overshoot any defects. So we just really take our time. There's no rush. We want to make sure that we see everything that we have to see. As we continue down this sewer line, we're about 40 feet now, 41 feet. Continuing now. Now, given the location of this sewer line cleanout and the house to the street, we should be seeing a main city tap relatively soon. It's not a long distance out to the street. So let's continue to push this camera and see what we see. There's a clean out that I didn't see from the outside, but that's a clean out. That's a vertical pipe that's installed outside of the home to clean out. That's likely to be underground and covered by earth, because that wasn't certainly visible on the outside inspection. And now we're continuing to push forward, pushing forward 50 feet. Now we're just going to let a little camera line out here. The camera has a nice rigid line, so it makes it relatively easy to push in most cases. Sometimes it gets difficult depending on what the sewer line looks like. But PVC piping is generally pretty smooth, and the camera pushes very well in this type of piping. So we see some scaling, which is just really basically some grease buildup on the sides of this pipe. Nothing significant. As we're pushing down here, we see a little bit of water moving. No problem. And it looks like we're going to take a pretty steep downward drop right here, and that's going to be our tap. That's going to be our city. Our main is right here. So that's our drop down into the city main, and that was about 65 feet out. So pretty good sewer line overall. I mean, just a hydrojetting, and we have that one section of damage, and that's something the client's going to have to deal with. Either the seller or eventually themselves are going to have to deal with. Now, we're just going to back the camera out all the way. Same type of thing, keeping a nice steady rhythm, about maybe 6 inches, 8 inches on the pullback with the camera. We don't want to get our camera stuck on anything, particularly on old sewer lines where they have a lot of obstruction and cast iron that's in poor condition. And along the way, we're going to grab our towels and our disinfectant. We're just going to continue to pull this camera out. Along the way, we're going to be disinfecting and wiping down our camera line as we pull it out of this pipe. So we're continuing to do that now. Still looking at the PVC, and a lot of times you can see more on the backing up the camera than you can with actually pushing the camera forward. So it really pays to not do this quickly, but to really get a good look when you're moving the camera forward, and also when you're backing the camera up. We want to make sure that we continue to give the customer their money's worth, and so we can understand exactly what's going on with the sewer line pipe as we back our camera up here about 45 feet and going down. So these are important inspections to do. It's just so important to understand, because these sewer lines, to replace a sewer line, you're probably looking at about $6,000 to $8,000. And to tell you the truth, even to reline a sewer line is very expensive as well. So if you're thinking, oh, we'll just get the sewer line relined, not so much, because it's going to take, it's quite a bit of money to deal with these sewer line problems. As we continue to back our camera up at about 34 feet here and coming back up, I think we have a little bit of a toilet that's leaking a little bit upstairs, and that's why we have a little bit of water flow here. Nothing's dripping out of the clean out though. So these inspections are somewhat challenging to perform, you have to know what you're looking at when you look at a pipe. This one, it was relatively easy. Some of them are a lot more certainly challenging to do than this one. And we're just going to back this camera up all the way out of this pipe at about 17 feet now, and just pushing out. We're going to pretty soon we're going to come into that area where we saw the damaged section of pipe in the transition from the PVC, from the cast iron to the PVC. And now it looks like we're probably going to be making our turn upward here. Oh, we're still, there we go. We're going upward now, going slowly because we don't want to catch the camera head on anything. And we're continuing to pull our camera out of the pipe. And there's our problem area right again. So right at that transition where this piping makes the downward turn down into the sewer line. And I suspect that maybe that PVC pipe has settled a little bit, causing it to be pulled downward. And that transition is definitely going to need some work. And here's our scaling. And what scaling does is it prevents the water from flowing freely and smoothly down this pipe. So the scales actually create ripples in the water. And we want our sewer line to be completely smooth and homogeneous all the way through. So although not a major problem and one that we expect, it should be corrected. So hydrojetting we're definitely going to recommend. So here we go, we're pulling this out about 3 feet, moving upward here. You can see some more of that scaling. Overall, a pretty successful inspection. Not too much to speak of other than a couple of issues. One pretty major issue that should be corrected, and one just a general descaling of the pipe is necessary. So thank you for watching, guys. Certainly enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little bit about sewer line inspections.